Hey guys, it's Kate, Zencat Vintage, and today we are at the BCS Annex Thrift Shop out in Sidney, BC. This is one of my favorites to come and visit anytime I'm out this way. I have a total soft spot for it, in large part because I actually volunteered here when I was a kid. I did my school work hours when I was 13 here and kept working here until I was about 20. So I love this store, and I'm just mulling through the shelves that they have by the front door, and these candle holders are actually a party light set. They have little top pieces that go in that actually hold the candles or the votives. So anyways, this is a beautiful store. We have visited here before. Sidney historically has a bit of an older population, so they get some really beautiful items in. Next, I was checking out these hand-painted wine glasses. These remind me of the kind of ones that you used to pick up at Pier 1. Pier 1's closed here in Canada. I think it's closed, like its retail locations are closed in the US as well. I think they still have an online presence in the US, but that's what those glasses reminded me of. Then I'm just checking out the crystal, and these here are Rosenthal, which I completely bypassed. I had no perception of those whatsoever while I was in the store, which was a little unfortunate. They were really reasonably priced. And then these really beautiful etched pieces here reminded me of I think it's like Cambridge does some like etched glasses like that. Lots of companies do, but. Then I moved to another shelf, and this candle holder was really cool. They had this price at $15, but it really reminded me of Gunnar Ander, a Scandinavian designer mid-century. He designed some really iconic and beautiful pieces, so that's what drew me to that particular one. And then here, I've mentioned it before, my husband is obsessed with ducks. He has a whole collection, so these were super cute. I thought they were wood at first, but they're actually a really lightweight plastic, like a celluloid more so. And I think they were a little bit older. Then on another little knick-knack shelf here was this little whale shaker. He's by Mud Pie, which is a brand to maybe look out for. Some of their pieces, they're kind of one of those, like, I don't want to say like influencer brands, but it's one of those companies where they put out sort of limited collections and designs, and they get picked up on and they become really popular, and then those certain ones can resell for crazy money. So Mud Pie is definitely something to keep an eye out for, maybe do a quick search on if you come across it. And then on the topic of Pier 1, that was a stack of Pier 1 dishes in the Angleterre pattern. Then over in this area here where they have a bunch of plates and stuff, they had this little boxed, what I thought was a figurine, but I think it was actually a candle, which was very cool. They had a couple of them. These beautiful lacquerware bowls with a phoenix pattern on them. And then these Japanese teacups were really lovely. They were priced at $6. Super, super thin porcelain, really lovely. I'm starting to find these soup mugs everywhere now. And I don't know if it's a sign that I should start buying them, or if it's just the cosmos taunting me because I said about I don't normally pick them up. I keep finding them everywhere. And then I saw this adorable little piece. This is the Maneki Neko. Sorry for butchering the pronunciation, but the lucky cat, the lucky waving cat. It's like a little incense burner. So he was very, very sweet, and he's in like perfect condition. Just super cute. Just having a quick peek at the egg cups there. Easter's coming up, so it doesn't hurt to have some egg cups on hand. That stack there, I was expecting for the size of them to be china, but they weren't. They were actually a heavy melamine. And then this piece, at first I thought it was maybe Royal Winton, but it was actually Midwinter. And then I love this simplistic wheat design of these plates here. These are by Princess China. It's a US company, and that's the wheat pattern. I was kind of bouncing all over the store. It wasn't busy, but there were a few people in there, so I was trying not to get in anyone's way. But this is right by their front counter, and they had this little basket of Easter decorations. They were very cute, only 25 cents each. And I was going to grab a couple, but I ended up kind of forgetting about those because I got distracted by the eggs. I've talked about the hand-painted, the sort of decorative eggs before. I love these, and they sell really well for me. I personally, I don't know how they sell for others, but I personally get some decent money for them. Usually an average of about $10 to $15 a piece, depending on how they're painted. So those were very cool for only $2 each. I'm a cat mom. I've mentioned it more than 1,000 times. So this was a very, very cute piece. He was priced at like around $10. I think he was like $9. But not really any room for resale. And then I was like thinking about getting it for myself, but I honestly have nowhere to really put it. Kind of looked like a doorstop though. And while my husband collects like doorstops, or he has a few of them, more so like the cast iron ones. So I did end up leaving the wood kitties, even though thinking about it in hindsight now, it's a little bit of a regret. Kind of wish I just bought them. Buy it and deal with the consequences later. Then here was a really pretty creamer and like a gravy boat. This is actually a Johnson Brothers pattern. I think it's called Athena. Has like the Greek key design around the edge of it. Kind of like a 70s, 80s thing, I think. And then I saw this little compote. Little crimped edge compote. Definitely looks like Fenton. It's not marked. They had it priced at $5, and there were some marks inside that I couldn't get to come off, and they don't really sell for a ton. So as much as I love finding Fenton, it wasn't really a super exciting piece. Had it been a different color, maybe, but that one did end up staying. And then the pattern of this dish kind of caught my eye, and it's actually the base of a punch bowl, a Jeanette design punch bowl. Then I moved over to the pottery section. This dish here had a ton of chips and stuff all over it, but I loved the color palette of it. I loved that sort of turquoisey blue with the rusty red and the black. Couldn't find any maker's marks on it. And I Google lensed it and couldn't really find anything about it, but I just thought it was so striking. And the little like rusty red parts looked like little mushrooms, which I thought was super cool. And then this was just a little Mexican, I believe, little Mexican pottery. Over in this area, this piece was super, super interesting. It reminded me of like a Central American kind of design. It had that kind of like antique look to it, though I'm fairly confident, even though I don't know a ton about antique Central American pottery, I'm pretty sure it was a newer piece, just the way it was finished and sort of glazed. But it was very cool. It had a really cool pattern to it. That was just a little German porcelain dish there. And then this teapot was ridiculous. Like, it is so ornate. I think it was probably Mexican. I didn't actually check the bottom of it, but the handle on it was gorgeous. Brass and copper, just a really striking piece. And this I was expecting to be pottery, but it was actually wood. It was like turned wood. And it was painted. Very cool looking though. Priced at $6. And then more sort of like Latin pottery. These guys are made in Peru. Those were priced at $8. I did consider getting those. They were both in beautiful condition. And then, oh, that vase there, that sort of like mocha colored one, that's actually a Blue Mountain pottery. That's kind of a rarer one to find. They had that vase priced at $25 though. And it was quite substantial, quite heavy. But that was cool because I haven't really seen a lot of that color in the Blue Mountain. Seen lots of the other colors, obviously the greenish black one, the slate color, but I think I've only ever seen like 1 or 2 other pieces of the mocha Blue Mountain pottery. Then they have these shelves in the window here, and they had some nice Pyrex. They were priced a little high. That's a Colonial Mist. I think that was a 403, so that's kind of like the step down from the largest one. And then they had this woodland one. This was the larger size, the 404. Those were both priced at $25. And then down here, these are actually Fire King. This is the Gay Fad pattern with the painted fruits all around the sides. I can't remember how much they had those priced at. I think it was in that same sort of ballpark. And when I was looking into Gay Fad, I actually found out that certain pieces in that pattern can sell for really good money. So definitely worth looking up. The bowls don't seem to resell for too much, but different like serving pieces more so. And that was just a cool like baby scale. It had like a baby design motif around the face of it. It was missing the basket though. Like it would have had some sort of like a cradle kind of basket thing on the top. And then this was just an interesting little brass vessel. It had some Chinese markings on the bottom. It was missing something though. It was possibly broken. Wasn't entirely sure. And it was priced at $6. That lidded casserole there is actually a Proctor Silex one. And then me being the kitchen gadget freak, I had to look at the little Mouli grater. That's a little like cheese grater by Moulinex. That one was half price. Green tags were half price. So that one was only $4, but I do actually already have one. And then just before I was getting ready to check out, I took a minute to kind of look at the prices that they had on some of these china sets. They were selling them as sets. They weren't selling individual pieces. So they had that Royal Albert thistle pattern. And then they had this Royal Doulton burgundy pattern. They had some pretty substantial stacks of these different dishes. That little gravy boat there is another Royal Doulton piece. And then just before I did leave, there was this little stack of Johnson Brothers. So, hope you enjoy. Stay tuned for the haul.